Dun 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 dun. It's going to be Fantasy versus Braves second set, and Fantasy already showing that classic a-hole fantasy play of his, the Vultures. The Vultures! Here we go. Second set, Dreamliner. Except over at the 3 o'clock position in yellow is Fantasy, down at the 6 o'clock in red is Brave. But yeah, it's very nostalgic to see Fantasy playing like that. I'm not sure why it seems like it's been such a long time since I've casted a Fantasy game. I know he was in the last OSL round of 16, but it didn't feel like he made his presence known in that round of 16 like he has in round of 16s in the past. Because Fantasy is a great Terran player. I once named him as the next best Terran player as Flash was starting kind of a small slump. It wasn't a huge slump, mind you, but he hadn't really gotten his styles together at that point in time. So I was saying Fantasy, he has the style to beat, especially when he took down Jaedong twice in the Pro League finals of last season. That was just very, very impressive no matter how you look at it. So after that, it kind of surprised me that he took such a sharp nosedive. Because I know players, when they win championships, when they win big games, gas steal, by the way, from Brave. Very brave move. But yes, when players, they win big games, big championships, they do tend to take a nosedive after that. Because maybe they feel too confident, maybe they feel more pressure on themselves. There are many reasons for this. And in Luxury's case, it's because he wanted to get extra money. But yes, Fantasy, I'd say Fantasy's not like that. Fantasy is looking for proxies up there. Kind of smart. I haven't seen players look for proxies very much on this map. But now Fantasy's going to make his way down. And a 12 Nexus on this map would not be a great idea just because of the rush distances. So we're not seeing that from Brave this time around. He did have a 12 Nexus on that last game and went back and reviewed that. As I was talking about stupid stuff when it happened. That usually happens when 12 Nexus come up. And I have to look back and say, was that a 12 Nexus? Yes, it was. But now the assimilator coming up inside the main. Assimilator here is going to be very annoying. He knows that Fantasy wants to get the Vultures as soon as possible. So Fantasy is going to have to adapt. Building a... What? Fantasy is building a supply depot right next to this assimilator. Not sure why he's doing this. If he was going to try to block the gas mining, I would have thought that he would put that a little bit more between the Nexus and the assimilator. This is just very strange play. I'm not sure what Fantasy's doing, to be honest. Maybe he just needs another supply depot. It's like, I'll just build this here. So he builds it, and he doesn't cancel it, but he built just enough so he can cancel it later. Very interesting play. So let's see if this does interrupt the flow of gas. He cancels that. This is such weird play from Fantasy. Well, I know what he's doing down here, as there is a person on drugs in the audience, but he is building this down here to block the Nexus. Building the engineering bay. This is an old Boxer trick, actually, which Boxer like to do against Zerg players. It's harder against Protoss players because you have the Zealots out here being annoying. But the engineering bay going to be cancelled, so Fantasy is bringing some wacky play already on this wacky map. There's the Nexus coming up now from Brave. So okay, Fantasy is saving up for his command center. He's going to plop that down right now. That is the best follow-up to having a gas steal, to go for your command center as quickly as possible. Make use of those minerals you're mining. Even if you can't get the gas as soon as you want, you will be able to throw down that expansion. And that's what he's doing. And mining gas at the same time. Let's see if he can keep this scout out. Keeping the scout out. Yes, he does. Okay, now he's in the know, being a little bit more alert. Fantasy, he never really had the most alert medic marine play. That's why he switched to mech when he did back in 2008. But I think he definitely starting to get better with his Marines. So I was kind of surprised to see him a little bit late on getting his Marines into place there. But hey, whatever. Kept the scout out anyway. And we're not going to see Medic Marines in this game unless he decides to be just completely go-go crazy. I shouldn't reference Go-Go, since Go-Go is not going to be playing anymore. He will live on in spirit, much like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He will be more powerful dead than he would be alive. Fantasy, use the Rafflecopter. But there is the couple of Zealots sitting out front. Not sure what Brave is thinking about here. If he pushes right now, Fantasy's going to be able to defend against this just fine. Building his bunker, just came up. Perfect timing for that bunker. Fantasy trying to keep those Zealots out, but now he's going to have to panic a little bit, get his Marines out of that bunker, which he's doing, and surround these Zealots as best he can. Try not to lose all of his SCVs in the process. Brave did a pretty good job sniping SCVs in that attack, but I'm not sure if it was completely worth it. But now he's coming in, going to have that Dragoon range ready to pick off that bunker, but he's not able to put on as much pressure as he wanted to. Because if he was able to sneak into the main with those Zealots earlier, he would be have that Dragoon range and tackle the bunker at the front. He would be attacking on multiple fronts, and that's how you got to grind down Fantasy. Because Fantasy, once he gets his drops and his vultures out, he takes control of the game pretty easily. He is definitely a player that takes control of the game and puts the other player on the defensive. But okay, we got the Dragoon range now, so Fantasy coming up with his tank. Just the right range with that tank. So I think he will be able to safely hold this front with that tank. Very good micro being displayed so far from him. And he will have siege soon enough, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Okay, let's see what Brave is up to. He already has his observatory out. Another similar build from him. And I expect Fantasy to go for a drop strategy on this map, even though I haven't seen the starport yet. That would be the most logical thing I can think of, with the mains being a short distance away from each other as possible. I think a drop strategy would be the way to go, and that looks like that's what Brave is thinking of. He's going to do Reaver drop soon.